Ally.
When I hear the word ally, I just feel like maybe it's a given to me, but maybe not to everybody, but I just feel like everyone should be an ally in some way, shape, or form. It's as simple as that.
An ally is someone who stands up for what they believe in, but for other people.
The word ally, to me, is a verb. It involves action. It involves intentionality, and it involves a lot of mindfulness. You do not just feel that you're an ally, you act like one. You show up. You fight alongside with us. Not just watch us do it, but jump in and put yourself in the front.
Non-binary.
Anybody who identifies as non-binary should have the freedom to do so without being ostracized or bullied or harassed. It's 2022. Get with it.
Non-binary means that you don't fit or think in either category.
My experience in the world isn't necessarily gendered. I do not necessarily identify as a woman or a man. There are times when I do resonate with traits we have gendered, feminine or masculine. My gender identity and expression lives on a spectrum, and it feels freeing, actually.
U-Haul.
U-Haul. U-Haul makes me think of mobility and moving into apartments with like a lot of roommates all sharing one bathroom in Brooklyn.
U-Haul is really annoying to rent.
Lesbians. No, I think of lesbians.
Queen.
Queen. I actually think of JVN when I think of that because he uses that word very often.
A queen is never wrong.
Someone who can reach the masses with the way they communicate. Powerful, regal.
Outing.
Outing is terrible but necessary.
I think that's a touchy one because if somebody decides that they are on this endless path of coming out because it's not something that you just decide that you want to do and then it's just a one and done. I think it's dynamic and it's ever changing. And the only person that should be outing a person is the person themselves whenever they're comfortable to do so. It's not anybody else's responsibility to take that on.
Outing to me brings up this feeling of somebody invading my boundaries and sharing information about me that I was not ready to have shared. Something that is happening against my will. I didn't choose it necessarily.
Internalized homophobia.
Internalized homophobia. That's not a not heavy one. I think it is something that I personally work on my own version of that in therapy. And I feel like if you're LGBTQIA+, or if you're an ally, it's something that you have a responsibility to kind of look into and see how that manifests itself in you.
Internalized homophobia is something that many of us are still struggling with.
It's part of our socialization. That's what I think about when I think about internalized homophobia. It is everywhere. For me, it is ubiquitous, sadly.
Top.
Top is not me.
Well, what can I say about that? It's a label. Let's just all be a little open-minded. That's all I'm saying.
Top. When I think top, I think Che Diaz. I mean,
Bottom.
Bottom, it's probably me.
If you want to refer to yourself as a top or a bottom, power to you, zero judgment. But my only unsolicited advice, and I don't like to give it very often, is like, don't throw that label onto somebody else.
really though? Yeah, when I think bottom, I think generous. So generous and giving.
Verse.
Verse is what I would like to be.
Somebody can refer to themselves as, but I would suggest not necessarily throwing that label onto somebody because of some preconceived notion or stereotype that you may or may not have.
Verse. When I think verse, I think of Sara Ramirez. I don't know why.
Queer.
Queer means strange.
It's funny because it makes me think of when I first booked Queer Eye, and I remember how that word made me uncomfortable. The more I started saying it, and the more that I started working and, you know, kind of being actively involved in the LGBTQIA+ community, the word got desensitized, and it lost that tension that it had when I was growing up. But maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I used to kind of like whisper it. Like when people ask me about this job that I'd landed, or when I told my dad about booking Queer Eye, I used to say like queer eye. Like I was uncomfortable with it for some reason, which I shouldn't have been. But I was. And maybe that was my own internalized homophobia.
Queer. When I think queer, I think beautiful, I think freedom, I think expansive, I think inclusive, I think healing.